Holy shit. What did we just witness? Brock Lesnar just delivered the most brutal, most savage beatdown in recent SmackDown history, and Jacob Fatu is lucky to be walking out of that arena on his own 2 feet. If you think you've seen Brock Lesnar unleash hell before, you haven't seen anything compared to what just happened to the Samoan werewolf. This wasn't just a wrestling match, this was a complete annihilation that has left the entire WWE universe in absolute shock. But here's what's going to make you absolutely lose your mind. Jacob Fatu came into this thinking he was the most dangerous man in WWE, thinking his bloodline connection made him untouchable, thinking he could intimidate the Beast incarnate. What happened next was 20 minutes of pure carnage that proved why Brock Lesnar is still the most legitimate threat in all of professional wrestling. And by the time I break down every bone-crushing moment of this beatdown, you're going to understand why Jacob Fatu might have just made the biggest mistake of his entire WWE career. The audacity of Jacob Fatu to even think he could hang with Brock Lesnar in a physical confrontation is absolutely mind-blowing. This is the same Brock Lesnar who has demolished every monster, every beast, every supposed unstoppable force that WWE has thrown at him for over 2 decades. And Jacob Fatu, as talented as he is, actually believed he could be the one to finally put down the Beast. What we witnessed on SmackDown wasn't just a reality check, it was a complete education in what happens when you step up to the wrong man at the wrong time. Let me break down exactly what happened, because if you missed SmackDown, you missed what might go down as one of the most violent and devastating segments in recent WWE history. It started when Jacob Fatu came out during Brock's entrance, obviously trying to make a statement by confronting the Beast before he even made it to the ring. The crowd was going insane because everyone knew they were about to witness something special, but nobody, and I mean nobody, was prepared for the level of destruction that was about to unfold. Fatu started talking trash, getting right up in Brock's face, doing that intimidating Samoan war cry that has struck fear into the hearts of every wrestler who's faced him since he joined WWE. For a moment, it looked like maybe, just maybe, the Samoan werewolf had found someone who might actually be intimidated by his presence. But then Brock smiled, that cold, predatory smile that we haven't seen in years, and everyone in that arena knew Jacob Fatu was about to get destroyed. What happened next was absolutely unbelievable. Brock didn't even wait for a referee or an official match announcement, he just exploded into action with a series of German suplexes that sent Fatu crashing across the ring like a ragdoll. But here's what made it even more brutal: these weren't the controlled, precise suplexes we usually see from Brock. These were violent, angry throws that looked like Brock was genuinely trying to break Jacob Fatu in half. The crowd was going absolutely nuclear because they could feel the intensity and genuine aggression that Brock was bringing to this confrontation. This wasn't sports entertainment, this felt like a legitimate fight between 2 of the most dangerous men on the planet. Every impact sounded like thunder, every throw looked like it could end someone's career, and Jacob Fatu was getting absolutely demolished by someone who was clearly operating on a completely different level. But here's where it gets even more insane: Jacob Fatu actually tried to mount a comeback. The guy is tough as nails, I'll give him that, and he managed to catch Brock with a few devastating strikes that would have knocked out most wrestlers. For about 30 seconds, it looked like maybe the Samoan werewolf could actually hang with the Beast incarnate. But then Brock caught him mid-attack and delivered what might be the most devastating F5 I've ever seen in my entire life. The sound of Jacob Fatu hitting that mat was absolutely sickening. You could hear it throughout the entire arena, and the crowd went completely silent for a moment because everyone thought they had just witnessed someone's career ending in real time. The way Fatu's body just went completely limp after that F5, it was like watching someone get hit by a freight train. And Brock wasn't done, not even close. What made this beatdown even more terrifying was the look in Brock Lesnar's eyes throughout the entire confrontation. This wasn't the smiling, entertaining Brock we sometimes see during his comeback appearances. This was the legitimate fighter, the former UFC heavyweight champion, the man who has destroyed everyone from The Undertaker to John Cena to Roman Reigns. This was Brock Lesnar in full destroyer mode, and Jacob Fatu was getting the full treatment. The most brutal moment came when Brock picked up the unconscious Jacob Fatu and delivered not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive F5s that left the Samoan werewolf looking absolutely broken in the middle of that ring. The referees were trying to get Brock to stop, security was rushing to the ring, but the Beast was in a zone of pure destruction that nobody could interrupt. It was like watching a natural disaster unfold in real time. But here's what made this segment absolutely legendary: the crowd's reaction throughout this entire beatdown was unlike anything I've heard in recent WWE history. They weren't just cheering for their favorite wrestler or booing the heel, they were witnessing something that felt completely authentic and spontaneous. The energy in that arena was electric because everyone knew they were seeing something that would be talked about for years to come. The way Brock systematically dismantled every aspect of Jacob Fatu's offense was absolutely masterful. Every time Fatu tried to use his power, Brock overpowered him. Every time Fatu tried to use his speed, Brock caught him and made him pay. Every time Fatu tried to use his Samoan heritage and warrior mentality, Brock showed him what a real warrior looks like when he's unleashed. It was a complete clinic in professional wrestling dominance. What absolutely killed me was watching Jacob Fatu's confidence completely evaporate as this beatdown continued. At the beginning, he was doing his usual intimidating routine, flexing and roaring and trying to establish psychological dominance. But with each devastating suplex, each bone-crushing F5, each moment of pure destruction, you could see the realization dawning on him that he had made a terrible mistake in challenging Brock Lesnar. The technical aspects of this beatdown were also absolutely incredible to witness. Brock's conditioning looked better than it has in years, his intensity was off the charts, and every single move he executed was picture-perfect despite the apparent spontaneous nature of the confrontation. This is what happens when you combine legitimate athletic ability with years of professional wrestling experience and genuine competitive fire. But let's talk about what this means for Jacob Fatu's future in WWE, because this beatdown might have just completely changed his trajectory in the company. Before tonight, Fatu was being positioned as one of the most dangerous and unstoppable forces in WWE. He was the monster heel who was supposed to strike fear into the hearts of every babyface on the roster. But after getting absolutely demolished by Brock Lesnar, how does he recover from that level of destruction? The psychological impact of this beatdown cannot be overstated. Jacob Fatu built his entire WWE persona around being the most dangerous Samoan warrior, the one member of the bloodline who was truly unstoppable in physical confrontations. But Brock Lesnar just proved that all of that was marketing hype compared to what happens when you face someone with legitimate combat sports credentials and 20 years of professional wrestling dominance. What made this beatdown even more devastating was how effortless Brock made it look. He wasn't struggling or working hard to overcome Jacob Fatu, he was just systematically destroying him like it was another day at the office. Every German suplex was delivered with casual precision, every F5 was executed with calm efficiency, and every moment of destruction looked like Brock was barely breaking a sweat. The crowd's sustained reaction throughout this entire segment proves that this connected with the WWE universe on a deep emotional level. They weren't just watching good wrestling or entertaining storylines, they were witnessing something that felt completely authentic and unpredictable. The kind of moment that reminds you why you fell in love with professional wrestling in the first place. But here's what's absolutely infuriating some people online. And I need to address this, there are actually fans complaining that this beatdown was too one-sided, that it made Jacob Fatu look weak, that it hurt his credibility as a monster heel. Are you kidding me? This is Brock Lesnar we're talking about. The man who ended The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. The man who conquered John Cena. The man who has been the final boss of WWE for over 2 decades. The beauty of what happened tonight is that it doesn't make Jacob Fatu look weak, it makes Brock Lesnar look like the legitimate monster that he's always been. There's no shame in getting destroyed by someone who has proven time and time again that he operates on a completely different level from every other wrestler on the planet. If anything, Fatu should be proud that he survived 20 minutes with the Beast incarnate. This beatdown also serves as a reminder of why Brock Lesnar is still the most valuable free agent in all of professional wrestling. Even when he's not actively competing for championships or involved in major storylines, his mere presence elevates everything around him. The intensity he brings, the legitimacy he provides, the star power he generates, there's literally nobody else in the wrestling business who can create this level of excitement with a single appearance. The ripple effects of this beatdown are going to be felt throughout the entire WWE roster. Every wrestler who thought they were tough, every monster who believed they were unstoppable, every supposed badass who has been running their mouth, they all just got a reminder of what real dominance looks like. Brock Lesnar didn't just destroy Jacob Fatu tonight, he sent a message to the entire wrestling world. What absolutely amazed me was how Brock managed to make every single moment of this beatdown feel significant and impactful. There were no throwaway spots, no filler moments, no time-wasting sequences. From the first German suplex to the final F5, every second of destruction served a purpose in telling the story of what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object and the unstoppable force gets obliterated. The most incredible aspect of this entire situation is that it felt completely spontaneous and unscripted despite obviously being planned by WWE creative. That's the mark of true professional wrestling artistry, when you can make something that's predetermined feel completely authentic and unpredictable. Brock and Jacob managed to create 20 minutes of television that felt more like a legitimate fight than sports entertainment. But let's be real about what this beatdown represents for WWE programming moving forward. This is the kind of intensity and authenticity that fans have been craving for years. No overproduced storylines, no corporate-mandated dialogue, no focus group-tested character development, just 2 legitimate badasses going at each other with everything they've got. This is what professional wrestling is supposed to look like. The way this beatdown was structured also showed incredible storytelling instincts from both performers. It started with Jacob Fatu's confidence and intimidation tactics, moved through his realization that he was in serious trouble, progressed through his desperate attempts to mount a comeback, and concluded with his complete destruction at the hands of someone who was simply better than him in every possible way. What's going to be absolutely fascinating is seeing how WWE follows up on this incredible segment. Do they use this as the starting point for a longer feud between these 2 monsters? Do they have Jacob Fatu seek revenge and try to prove that this was just a fluke? Or do they recognize that some moments are perfect as they are and don't need to be extended into months-long storylines? The technical quality of this beatdown was also absolutely flawless. Every suplex was executed perfectly, every F5 looked devastating, and every moment of impact was timed for maximum visual and emotional effect. This is what happens when you have two performers who understand psychology, timing, and the art of making predetermined outcomes feel completely legitimate. But here's what's making me absolutely furious about some of the online reaction to this segment. There are people trying to diminish what we just witnessed by calling it predictable or saying that, of course, Brock would win. These people are completely missing the point. It's not about who won or lost, it's about how it happened and the incredible level of intensity and authenticity that both performers brought to the confrontation. The crowd's reaction throughout this entire beatdown tells you everything you need to know about the quality of what we witnessed. They weren't just making noise, they were emotionally invested in every single moment, reacting authentically to each devastating move, and creating an atmosphere that elevated everything happening in that ring to legendary status. This segment also highlighted why Brock Lesnar remains one of the most compelling performers in all of professional wrestling. Even when he's not cutting long promos or involved in complex storylines, his physical presence and in-ring intensity create more drama and excitement than most wrestlers can generate with months of character development and careful booking. The psychological warfare aspect of this beatdown was also absolutely brilliant. Brock didn't just physically dominate Jacob Fatu, he systematically broke down his confidence, his intimidation tactics, and his entire persona as the most dangerous Samoan warrior. By the end of this confrontation, Fatu looked like someone who had been completely humbled by a superior opponent. What made this beatdown even more incredible was how it managed to make both performers look strong despite the completely one-sided nature of the confrontation. Jacob Fatu looked strong because he kept trying to fight back despite being completely outmatched, and Brock looked strong because he reminded everyone why he's considered the most legitimate threat in all of professional wrestling. The lasting impact of this segment is going to extend far beyond just these two performers. This is the kind of moment that gets replayed on highlight reels for years to come, the kind of beatdown that becomes part of wrestling folklore, the kind of destruction that reminds everyone why they love professional wrestling in the first place. So here's what I want to know from all of you watching this video: did Brock Lesnar's destruction of Jacob Fatu live up to the hype, or were you expecting something even more intense? Do you think this beatdown helps or hurts Jacob Fatu's credibility as a monster heel? And most importantly, where do you think both of these performers go from here after delivering what might be the most brutal segment in recent SmackDown history? Because let me tell you something, what we witnessed tonight wasn't just another wrestling segment. This was a masterpiece of professional wrestling storytelling that reminded everyone why Brock Lesnar is still the most dangerous man in sports entertainment and why Jacob Fatu, despite getting destroyed, has the heart of a true warrior for even daring to step up to the beast incarnate. Sound off in the comments and let me know your thoughts on this absolutely incredible beatdown that has the entire wrestling world talking. Did this live up to your expectations, or did it somehow manage to exceed them? Because moments like this are exactly why we love professional wrestling.